Hey everyone, all three people, welcome. Hope you can hear me. I don't know. So I need a sound check thing. How do I do that? Ah yeah, there we go. I can hear. Yes, all good, nice. First of all, I have to address the fact that I'm wearing a hat indoors. This is super unusual for me. And if my wife catches me doing this, she'll be like, what the heck are you doing? So don't tell her, because yeah, I'll come under fire. But how do I address the hat? I don't know. I've seen other people do it. I think it's cool. It hides the mess that is my hair right now. What else? Oh, since the last time I streamed, I went to Laracon US in Nashville. That was very cool. I had a lot of fun there. It was a bit of a crazy adventure to get there, which I won't go into too much detail, but basically just today I finished off writing a whole bunch of claims to different airlines and insurance companies to sort out the mess of travel that I had, getting there and getting back and going on holiday and anyway, that's that over with, which has been on my list for, well, since I finished that trip, which was basically the end of July, so it's been ages. That's a bit of a boring life update. What else has been happening? I got a tree for my room. Did that yesterday. It was really nice going and seeing plants and flowers and stuff, which and everybody's saying like, touch some grass. Okay, I'll go and touch some flowers and whatever. I do recommend doing that. If you get a chance, go to the garden centre. Even if you haven't got a garden, go and get some potted things, stick them in your room. This is supposed to be really good for your health. I haven't had a real plant in here. I've had this like fake plant. This is plastic, just to give me a nice look on the desk. But obviously no real health benefits. Arguably only bad things done to the world by having that thing exist, but there you go. Right, I'll stop being really annoying and boring and get on to talking about something interesting. I think a couple of things might be worth mentioning. One is, I did make some notes somewhere, but I don't know where I've put them now. Well, what's happening with native PHP, I think is one of the things that people might be interested in if they watch this, or if you're here looking for some update on that. So it's been a bit quiet. I think Marcel's been super busy, I've been super busy. People are playing around with it and finding lots of problems and reporting those issues and things, which is great, thank you very much. It's going to be tricky to find time to keep working on it and keep supporting everybody right now. It's open source, it's completely free. There's a Discord, there's GitHub issues, there's loads of things out there to kind of help people. We're trying to put documentation together. I'm squeezing time in to do all of the things that I think I can do and need to be done in between normal work, paid work, and the main thing that I'm focusing on with native PHP, which is the Rust stuff, which is for Tory, and that's taking a lot of time, a lot longer than I thought it would. So that's frustrating. But yeah, I'm struggling. We'll talk about prioritisation a little bit, but I'm kind of struggling to justify spending time on other sides of it whilst I'm prioritising the Tory side. So it's a bit of a challenge. I've seen some frustrating comments in the Discord and things, and that's kind of annoying, but to be expected, I guess. And yeah, I appreciate everybody's patience while we continue to do other things. If you follow Marcel on Twitter, then you'll know that he's busy working on Tinkerwell 4, which looks like it's going to be pretty awesome, as well as supporting various bits on Herd since that launched as well at Laracon, which is amazing. I've been using Herd since before Laracon. I was lucky enough to get a sneak preview, and I haven't looked back. It's such an awesome way of spinning up a PHP set up on your machine. It's built on Valet, so it's Mac only, but yeah, I've been using Mac for a long time, so that's fine for me, and it avoids all of the Docker craziness, which I do use, I don't like. Anyway, so yeah, let's move on from that. Try Herd if you've got a Mac, and look out for Tinkerwell 4, you know, those things. What else is going on? Oh yeah, so I had a little bit of I've been doing a bit of work on my website, my personal website, just to try and, you know, I don't know, beef up my online presence a little bit. But it's been in the wake of kind of how I've been feeling about Twitter for a while now. And I'm getting a bit fed up of how rubbish it is, honestly. And it's frustrating because of how much time I spend on it. And I think I've analysed that perhaps a bit too much and realised that I spend way too much for the amount of reward that lack of that I get from it. So yeah, just invest more into the things that you own and can fully control. Like my website is something that I own and I can fully control, and yeah, so I've been putting some time into that, kind of beefing up the design. I did dark mode and I added a now page and got it listed on now, and all of those things. I tweaked various bits of the design to just make it better and render better on phones, and you know, images don't go off the page, and code snippets are a sensible size and that kind of thing. And added Torchlight, which is really cool, by Aaron Francis. And why did I forget his name? I don't know. Everybody knows Aaron Francis now, right? Aaron Francis did a thing called Torchlight, and it's very cool for doing code highlighting in your pages. Got that working with Statamic's static site generator, which I've been doing quite a bit of work on and with, which yeah, it was cool to see that quite a few things of that get pushed out, which is nice. So yeah, my code on my site looks better. The site looks a little bit better than it did. I'm taking a very iterative approach on the website. That's I just don't want to invest tons and tons of time in it. I can put little bits here and there and just roll it out. It's all open source and everything as well, so people can see if you really care. Making its little bits of advancement, which is fun. Yeah, so that's that. What else has been going on? Oh, well, yeah, because a corollary to that is that I've been spending a bit more time on Mastodon, which I signed up for, you know, around the same time as I think a lot of people did when Elon Musk said, I'm going to take Twitter and do amazing things with it, blah, blah, blah. And then turned out that he didn't. And I never really spent much time on it. And now I feel like I'm investing a little bit more time there because I should as well. It's a growing space. I think there's not enough Laravel PHP people there that I would enjoy communicating with as much, but there are a few of us already, and it's good. I feel positive about it. The conversations that I'm having and the interactions there are really nice, and I think for the most part people aren't just like creating bait to get followers or get likes or something. They're actually writing useful, sensible things, and it reminds me of how Twitter used to be maybe, I don't even know when I joined, like 2009 or something. Yeah, so 14 years ago, when it was cool and it was good and it was nice. and productive. So that's nice. So yeah, you should come and join Mastodon. I'm on the PHPC social, but you know, there's loads of different Mastodon instances running, and I think most people probably just go for the core one, Mastodon social, whatever it is, and that's it. But yeah, join. I am at Simon Hamp at phpc.social, so follow me there. If I don't see a flood of follows now from all 3 viewers in my Mastodon feed, I'll be very disappointed. But it's okay. I won't hold it against you. Disappointment fades. And blah blah blah. Okay, I'm waffling now. I said I wasn't going to waste loads of time, and I have. And we're going to get down to something interesting. So the thing that's interesting that I wanted to have a look at, I'll come on to in just a moment. The main thing that I wanted to sort of talk about just before I get into it is, and I don't want to talk long, so tell me when I'm talking for too long, is prioritisation and ideas. So another thing that I did to my website the other day was add an ideas page. Let me show you that. Let's see. Let's transition to this. Okay, so hopefully you can see my ideas page, and I'm going to whip this out of here because that's no good. It's gone now. I don't know where it's gone. Ah, there. Fine. So, what's going on here? This is just a really basic page that I put together that captures like a bunch of notes that I made. Some of them have been years and years and years ago. Some of them are a bit more recent. And I just thought, you know what? I've got all these ideas. I'm never going to get a chance to build them. I've seen people like, I don't want to equate myself in any way, shape or form to, but Patrick Collison and whoever kind of sharing ideas that they've had or things that they think would be cool to work on that, you know, they don't want to work on. It's not core to the business that they're running or the things that they're focusing on right now. And I think that's quite a nice idea, actually, and pun intended, to just openly share the things that cross your mind from time to time. And, you know, I've vetted these. There are loads more. I haven't put all of them down that I think I would ever have had a go at, because some of them just don't make sense anymore. Like, they've been done, or there's just really not an obvious business there. It doesn't even necessarily have to be a business, but it's just there's nothing that seems that interesting anymore to me about those. So I've ignored those, and I've just added the ones that I think are kind of useful. And it was interesting sharing this because I got some feedback on one or two of the ideas, and someone said, "Oh, you know, there's I've basically built this already," and, you know, it's like, "Oh, that's cool." So, excuse me, it would be, yeah, you know, like, I think something good has come from just sharing the fact that I have these ideas and I think about these things. And I think more people should do it. You know, we're kind of protective of ideas, overly protective of ideas, because they might turn into something, and then if we've said something to somebody and they go and run away and they make this multi-million-pound business out of an idea that we had first, we should stake some claim to that. And it's like, well, yeah, maybe, but I think, you know, there's 8 billion people on the planet. There's a few ideas that are very unique. Everything else has probably been thought of quite a few times. So, in fact, interesting side note to that, I was reading about, I can't remember his name, that's terrible. I think it was only last night. I was reading about it all this morning. This Irish guy who was around at the same time as Charles Babbage, and creating basically an early computer. And it ended up building something very similar to Babbage and his machine, and yet they didn't converse or anything. You know, interesting things tend to happen at the same time. You know, ideas come out at the same time in human history because of the sort of collective consciousness or whatever it is. You know, these things are ripe for that time. So I think it's just about putting stuff out there and sharing. Anyway, so that's my ideas page. And then one of the ideas that I have done that I've started to build is called Spread. So you might have seen this if you follow my tweets or anything for any time. I did this setup at the beginning of the year just as a demo of like what's possible with open banking, and I don't want to get into open banking right now and explain all that, because I will just end up talking about open banking, which is really, really boring. But what I wanted to do, I've got an API that I'm going to be toying around with, and it's from these guys called Trello. And basically I wanted to like adapt what I've built so far, which I demoed on Plaid or Played, I don't know. Why is everything pronounceable in like 4 different ways? I don't know. Plaid, I think, is how most people would say it. So I got told nicely by Plaid that I can't use their stuff because they don't want me to. So I've really kind of shied away from working on it for a while. But I've been talking to the guys at Trello, and they've put this together for me, which is very nice. So I wanted to kind of give it a go. I've got some of the details, which I'm going to need to keep secret somehow, but I haven't figured out how to do that on stream yet. So some of it's going to come and some of it's going to go. But basically, we need to jump here, and I think, did I have... No, probably not. Okay, I've got tons of stuff here, and this doesn't make any sense because this is a slightly different project. But the starting point, I'm just going to close all of these. This is really not helpful. Sorry. The starting point for this actually was this Plaid, appropriately named. What's this one? Oh yeah, that can go away. So it is just a bunch of PHP files. You know, do things that don't scale, blah blah blah. So it's all hard coded. The only reason it's PHP is so that I can share some footers and things. So that's what this page is running. Let's drop all of these. And if I click one of these, you'll see it just references this PHP script and renders that appropriately. So it's a really basic demo site with an example setup so that people can go through the process. And this is using Plaid still at the moment, but I want to change it to use this Trello API, and I don't know if I'm going to be any kind of successful at doing that, but I'll give it a go. And in the meantime, I am also trying to port it over to a Laravel application. So maybe I shouldn't try and do both things at once. Maybe we should just stick with this version. Let's see. Yeah, so the way that I'd kind of got this structured is like, again, keeping it really, really simple and doing things that don't scale. Just have this, I'll call them the merchant. This is me as a merchant. So this is the bank account that I want money to come into. and then the service, which is, I'm calling it spread, but that's just the working title, I guess, is acting like a marketplace. You know, it's this ability to connect to somebody's payment system mechanism and say, oh, here's the things that I'm going to enable you to do without having to build all of this stuff yourself. Kind of think of it as a lemon squeezy or Gumroad or you know, a bunch of other things where you can basically just connect a Stripe account, and you would tell the user, the merchant, the actual person who's receiving funds, like, here's where you go to set up your Stripe account or connect your Stripe account, and then when we take card payments on your behalf, you'll get most of the money, we'll take a cut, and Stripe will take their cut, and you haven't had to build all of this stuff yourself. And that's kind of where spread is like aiming to sit, somewhere there. And I think there'll be a specific niche that it goes into. At the moment, this is just very open. It's like, this is the things that it could do. But yeah, let's see. I've got no preconceived notions of what that should be at this stage, but I think it's cool to just try. So I have to try and remember some of the things that I've got set up, and I probably need to get that open because my phone is up there watching me and I can't, there's some stuff on that I need, but I don't want you all to see. Okay, that doesn't want to move. Why does that not want to move? Oh, finally. Right, so let's see how this works, because I can't remember. Well, in my folder it just looks at this create payment details. What's that? Okay. Some of that's going to change. What does create payment do? Yes, it's a bit gross. Where's plaid credentials coming from? This is not nice. Okay, cool. I've got at least some sensible things going on and not completely mental. I'm just gonna start setting some of this up separately so I know that I'm ready for what's coming. So basically I've got a bunch of plaid things and I'm gonna replicate some of that because this is probably going to work in a similar way, albeit maybe not as complicated, but we'll see. And I just want to change, I can close that one, that's useless. Instead of doing a new plaid client, we effectively want, and I'm going to keep it similar just because it feels like that makes sense at the moment. And then some of this stuff is going to be different because that plaid client is probably coming from well, what am I doing? It's not there. Where is it? It's up here. tomorrow ideas plaid. So this is some pre-built package that's providing the SDK, yeah, API client, whatever you want to call it. Whereas this doesn't, sorry, the Trello one, it just doesn't have any. So we've got to create that, which is a bit, that's a bit frustrating because it's going to make it slightly harder. But maybe we can make some progress on that today, and that's the thing that matters. Anyway, so I'm going to say I need to find out what credentials I actually need to bring in and how I'm going to call this API. So the first thing I want to do is I want to know how to create a payment. Yes, that's exactly what I want to do. So here my example is like, I imagine the merchant's already got their account set up and they're ready to connect all of the dots, and they've done the flow of connection, whatever that looks like, and now they're ready to take payment. So they should be able to point people at this page, like customers, whatever, get them to fill in the details and make a payment. So in the world of Plaid, that's really nice and simple. They just punch in an email address and the amount. This could be predefined, or in this case, I've allowed the user to select the amount. Okay. So I want to replicate that, but this time using Trello. Right, so creating a payment on behalf of the merchant. You can use GraphQL mutation. Okay, I've never really used GraphQL before. This is going to be interesting. Like the example below, to create a payment on behalf of merchant using the create payment field. This API call will take 3 variables: merchant ID, amount, and note. Okay, so 2 required variables and an optional one. And we've got a code sample for PHP. Okay, so this is going to be some curl. Yeah. Do you know, I'm just going to swipe this so that I don't have to completely create a whole bunch of things. I'm going to just keep it really simple. I'm not going to make it work exactly the same as Plaid. I am going to make a class, but it's just going to be a simple one. And the only thing that I think I need to do is my application probably doesn't. Yeah, now I've got to remember how I do that. So because this is just a raw PHP application, Composer is just a bunch of simple dependencies and nothing fancy. But I want to, I'm going to borrow the auto load, and that's the bit that I want. I want this to kind of work the same as it will do. In kind of a Laravel application, but I'm just going to keep it simple. And is it source? It's not really. This could get really hairy, but yeah. Maybe it should be source. Maybe that's where I should put it. Or, in fact, no, I will put it in app because source is a bit mixed at the moment. That's kind of analogous to resources in a Laravel application right now, which is not fun. So anyway, new folder. I'm going to call this app. We've got app set up as an auto load. I'm going to have to dump the auto loader in a second just to make it pick this up. And then here, I'm going to have this stuff but I'm going to dress it up as a class. So, and I know that this method effectively is the create, whatever it's called, create payment. So let's just say namespace app class Trello public function create payment. It's just being super imperative at the moment, which is not, sorry, not particularly great, but I don't know where that came from. Thank you, Copilot. Right, so I can move that stuff into this method just to start shaping that up. So my GraphQL endpoint, what is my GraphQL endpoint? That's a very good question. It's going to look something like that. I think. Let's see. What are the notes that I had from the Trello guys? Is it going to let me see it? Waiting for this message. What does that even mean? This may take a while. Well, that's really helpful. Okay, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. So we'll just assume that what it gives us in this documentation is correct, because I don't think there's anything here that it gives us a clue as to any variation on that. No. It's just odd that it's your GraphQL endpoint URL rather than hard-coded as that one. Okay, well, let's go with that. My merchant ID, I bet I don't have that either. It's interesting that none of this documentation mentions a payment ID, but then this does. Merchant ID and payment ID, but it's merchant ID and amount. So there's some confusion there. Maybe it's not this. I'm gonna assume, based on the, what did he call it? The GraphQL mutation. Oh dear. So effectively a patch, or in this case really it's because it's this is a post. I mean, it's going to be a post. I guess that's how this expects it. It's so weird. Why would you do this? Ugh. Sorry. Gives me the bleh. So I want my merchant ID. Is that my merchant ID or the receiving merchant ID? I don't know. It must be the merchant who I'm creating the payment on behalf of. So do I have that? I do, but it's trapped. It's hidden away somewhere in my messages that for some reason are not syncing with my laptop. Sorry, I'm going dark so you don't get vomity whilst I try and look at my phone. Let's just see if this actually... That's very interesting. Right, and then if I open this again, is it all there? Yeah, that's really annoying, isn't it, WhatsApp? That you're just so rubbish. Okay, it's now all appeared in my WhatsApp on my computer. Clearly I don't use it enough. And if I put this back up here, maybe this will make sense. Apologies for the disruption. Is this going to let me use this again or no? I don't know. It looks like no. Switch. Oh. We're on a good old-fashioned FaceTime camera because now for some reason... it's come back. That's better. That's way more enjoyable. Okay, fine. So let's go back to where we were. I finally have some useful identifiers. I have my key, which I'm going to put in this file. Whoops. Without you seeing it. And I've got merchant ID, which is the details for Trello merchant ID, which I can probably show you guys. I don't think that matters that much, but I'm gonna try and keep that aside. Right, so save that and save that. Let's create this file in app. I'm just going to call it Trello. And then I said I need to oops. Composer dump auto load. This is going to throw a fit. No. Okay, fine. So here I should be able to create this Trello key. Fine. And I know that I'm going to pass that into the constructor. So I don't have a constructor. Why are you there? Who knows? suppose. Function. Construct. Wow. And this is going to be yes, exactly. Oh, exactly that. And then I can use the key somewhere here. Well, that doesn't add the header for us. Not really. What does it say that the header needs to be? Authorization, your token. Not bearer, your token? Don't know. Basically, these docs have been hastily put together, which I don't blame anyone because, you know, they're... I think it's going to be bearer, honestly, but we'll soon see. So, right, let's try. There's a couple of things that I want to be able to do here. So I've already set up these accounts, and I want to see if this will work. Oh, the other thing here is that this is all like production. I don't think they've got a test environment yet where I can do this stuff. And I don't know the system very well either, so I don't know what's expected here in terms of what can and can't be done. Oh, that's not the thing that I want. So I'm going to sit around on this payments. I think effectively what we're going to do is the... Oh, that's terrible. I've got so much stuff going on in the background. Here, it's going to be the same. I mean, if I just said, oh, I want you to take £10 and yeah, let's just use their example, beanie. It's going to create something. Did that do anything? Did it copy a link to my... No, please send me £10 beanie via Trello US. That's okay. Scan to pay. Yeah. I think that's kind of common for this open banking stuff, is this QR code scanning, but that's not necessarily the user experience I want for end users, payers, people who are going to send money to my merchant. But anyway, it's fairly clean. It doesn't really explain that it's for a beanie, which is a shame, even though it says beanie up there. Okay, well, something like that. Let's see if this is actually recorded. Okay, no, it hasn't. Hasn't created anything. Okay. So there's no, when the link gets created, there's no record that there's a link. I don't know what that means. Does that mean it's a different link now? I mean, it should be, right? So, hello world. It's just that it does say copied. So I didn't see that before because something's in the way. But no, I've got to. Oh, goodness me. Can my keyboard just work? Okay, fine. So what's interesting there is that test 593 is the same in each URL, which suggests that that's something about this merchant account that I've created is called test 593. And that means that the amount can just be punched into the URL here. So I could say 15, and it's gonna, no, it's not gonna work. Oh my days. Why is that? Yeah, no, that does work. That's kind of what I expect. Okay, so there's nothing special about that that's creating anything that I should see. Anywhere. So I don't know if this creating the payment is actually going to show up here. But we should at least get something that maybe looks a bit like this somewhere. So let's try. What else have we got? The merchant ID and an amount is what the docs said. So we can just set this at an arbitrary fixed amount at the moment. Did it say whether it's in pounds or pence? Amount due to be paid. Let's go with pounds and see what happens. We either end up with 10 pence, or we end up with an error, or we end up with £10. So it's not too bad. Then there's a note. We could add the note. I'm not going to. I'm just going to keep that in there. I'm going to assume that there's some length limit to that, because I don't know where it's going to be shown, but it might be on the person's bank statement, for example, the buyer's bank statement. And then it's echoing the response. Maybe that's all we need at the moment. Just keep it simple again. So pass in the Trello credentials. And then we're going to, I should probably, because I'm going to end up changing quite a lot of this, I'm going to just duplicate this file. I'm going to say create payment Trello, and we can swap it. So Trello credentials, client, create payment, that's what we called it. Yep. I'm not going to pass any variables into it at the moment, so that can be that, and then that means I don't really need any of this stuff right now. Although there's some things there that will become useful in a bit. These are really basic validation things, just for the sake of the testing. So it's kind of, actually, I shouldn't really do that bit here. I think that's that whole step is much later. I should do that in this try. I don't want to do it in a try. That's the only other problem. This is logging. Well, yeah, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to do it in the try, and we'll see. It's actually a link, so I'm going to call it link. And then I can't remember what a user is about. I think a user was some weird plaid thing. So we'll get rid of that. Trello, yes. And a token, a link token. So it's kind of principally similar to plaid, it's just less complicated, because this link token is I then form a URL, which the user will go to, the end user will go to on Plaid's system, which will take them through the payment flow. And that's effectively what this create payment is going to do. It's going to create a link, is that what it said? Somewhere. Maybe I'm jumping the gun. I mean, this can't be a payment because there's no details. It should be a URL that we get back. So let's see. I'm going to cut all of that because I can reference that from the other file if I need it. In fact, because I don't know, there's no exceptions coming from here. I am going to remove the try now because there's nothing to catch. It's just going to make a nasty error. And then I don't know what's going to come out. I'm not going to redirect. Don't really need that exit, but anyway. So then in my create payment, I'm going to say create payment Trello. Now, I want the version that's on my machine. So I think it's plaid. Come on. Hey, that's gross. Valet driver not found. Oh, you know, it's going to be the end of me. This is where I haven't done this for so long. Now I'm using herd. And I've got a feeling that herd doesn't know about this valet driver stuff. Whew, that's annoying. Where is that? Let's have a look at the valet docs, and maybe there's something in local drivers. See, yeah, in valet it kind of always knew about the Laravel valet driver. Oh no, I'm being silly. Maybe it's all changed. Maybe this will work if I just do this. Maybe I've just been out of valet for so long that I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Ah, that's better. Okay, so must site path string. Fine. I bet they're all the same, aren't they? It's going to warn me about all of those. So I'm going to do this once and just, well, let's find out. Yes. Ooh. Oh, it needs to return bool as well. Make sure we follow the instructions to the letter. Front controller path, optional string. So it's all the same except for the return type. And the final one, oh no, that's it. The other one's the same. Okay, fine, so that works. And then here, I don't actually need to fill this in except to pass my own validation. So, you know what? I'm going to cut out my own validation. I just want to hit the button and see it do something against that Trello client. Wow. I'm overly protective. So that's going to be in the JavaScript for this index, which is of course somewhere else entirely. There. Fine. Undefined session, undefined plaid credentials. Only arrays and traversables can be unpacked. It is an array. Something's not right. Why does that say create payment on line blah? It shouldn't be using create payment because I've said create payment. Trello. Did I save it? There's no check payment. Okay, is that here? No. Create payment. This is the right one. Pay, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that's because it's going to the root one, because this is a different setup. That's why I didn't even notice this part of the URL has moved. It's because I've got a subdomain set up elsewhere. I need to... This is another reason why it needs to just move to Laravel and not be done this funky way, because this is a mess and this is not how you should build payment solutions, definitely, or robust software in general. So let's go back, let's refresh, let's pay now. Okay, this is better. Right, undefined variables, I don't really care about, although that's annoying. OpenStream is a directory. Okay, so there's a bunch of stuff that I'm trying to do which I shouldn't try and do because I haven't got that reference, which I actually, to be fair, I could just make it. So that logging, super basic, and actually, sorry, I shouldn't just do it because there's all this stuff that I still need as well. But, okay, I'm just going to bring that back for the sake of the logging. Yeah, let's redo. Fine, okay, at Trello payments, undefined property payments, line 35. Ooh, yeah, why did I leave that? That's gross. We don't want that. Uncall, create, yes, that doesn't exist. Okay, continue. Right, unknown operation exception, unknown operation request. So this is coming from, it's not coming from here, so it must be coming from my Trello class. Is this echo? I really just want to return that. I mean, I don't know what it's supposed to be. It looks like JSON, sort of, padded out, unnecessarily JSON. But I'm just going to return it as a string for now. And then in my, let's close some of this stuff I don't need. Create payment script. I'm going to I'm just going to do the same Actually, I'm just going to payment link. So I should get no output now. And then this time it should be the same output. Unknown operation request. I don't know what that means. And there's no help from the documentation about error states yet. So let's see, is it a GraphQL error? Unknown, does it say operation exception? GraphQL Java. Okay, API gateway. That means that's what they're using. So maybe the URL that I am using is not correct. Let me see, because there's some other bit to it that I need. I don't know what that means. I should be able to get. Okay. So I think I've misinterpreted one thing. I think let me just move this over here for a second. I've put as the merchant ID something that they're calling the supervisor ID, which I guess me as the marketplace is the supervisor, which means I need to open that file. And the question is, what's the merchant ID then? So I'm going to say Trello supervisor ID. So, and then I'm going to put that in here. Trello supervisor ID equals blah. We can close that. Okay, so what I've done is just add this supervisor ID here, which means I need to add it here. String supervisor ID. Okay, and then I don't know where that fits into all of this. It's not the merchant ID who's oh, I didn't change that out. That's a bit sad, isn't it? I mean, that's just really entirely dumb. But I don't know exactly what that merchant ID is at the moment. That's the other thing. So what I've discovered in just that little bit of research is the ID that I thought was the merchant ID actually was my supervisor ID, not the merchant ID. The merchant ID I can get according to them, and this isn't in the docs, this is from me messaging them, is in one of the requests. Which says you should now be able to get the merchant ID using the third endpoint in the docs. If you leave it empty, it will return all your merchant IDs with their payments. Okay, so let's have a look at that. The third one was 2, 3, half of a merchant. Get payments on behalf of a merchant. Using this, you'll be able to get payment information on a number of payments for a merchant. 3 variables. All are optional. If no merchant ID is provided, you will receive information on all merchants who you are linked to and all their payments. Okay, this is actually a really useful piece of stuff. So I do just want to send because you're able to request payments from, to, between, and also specify which payments you'd like to get information for. Right, so I want to take the query. I want to create a new method in my class that is a what? Get payments. I hate that everything's a post. But anyway, public function get payments. This is also a bit, yeah, but I'm just going to copy the way that it's been done there. G equal. No. And yeah, actually, I know it shouldn't be like that, but oh, that is not what I copied. Oh, that's special. And I need to escape these $signs. And now I want to send that request through this same thing. So I'm going to start to extract some of this to dedupe. I know it's a bit early to dedupe, but I don't want all of that stuff twice. So I've got my thing, I need to sort that out. Body query, I don't know where it, okay. It's really, like, GraphQL's really not nice, honestly. This is like, I'm now mixing 2 types of things. I'm mixing a HTTP JSON request with it, this sub-language in it. Oh. Why can't it just be a JSON HTTP request? Like, there's enough power in that, honestly. Oh well. So then that stuff can go into thing, return this make request. This is a bit grim as well. We do it quicker with another thing, but I'm just being really blunt with what I'm doing here. I always forget function. Why do I always forget function? We should do something about that. And I'm going to say URL is this URL, body is what I'm going to pass in. Again, super blunt. This is not, and I know that it's going to be an array, so I'm just going to say array. It's got to be there. I know so far that they're all posts. They all need this stuff, so that's fine. And then I'm going to swipe that. There are no variables that I'm passing into this query really, so I'm just body request. This is body. I need to pass body into here, and hey presto, we've got hopefully now a get payments endpoint. Right, so I'm going to take this, I'm going to call this get payments Trello. I'm going to put it in public. I am going to delete most of this stuff. Because I don't care about any of that. I'm just gonna, this is just to debug, right? So all I'm doing here is forcing it to call this new method that I've created. Sublime, you let me down. In fact, I'm just going to echo out whatever the response is. We'll sort that out later. I'm going to get rid of all of that. And then, so I should be able to go to get payments Trello, whoops, .php in a new tab. Unexpected token on line 33 of Trello. That's because I'm a dummy. Oh yeah, just put that back to nothing. Undefined variable, Trello credentials on line 7. Go away. Because I'm importing that through this details thing. It's in the config. Yeah, so I need config to be imported. Where config. Oh, okay, so there's something still not quite right about my request. And this is a super basic one, right? Let's do bar dump body. Let's see what that looks like. Query. Do we say query on this one? Yep. Is that legit? I don't know. Could I get something better from this? I really don't know. This is not going to go very well. Is anybody still watching? Probably not. Oh, it looks like one person's watching. So is this one person who's still here know anything about GraphQL? Maybe not. Okay, well, let's see, what can I try? What can I change? When this said, where was it? That's kind of interesting. This is, I've only just noticed now. Get payment info from this code sample is not create payment. That is strange. So which is it? It should be this one, right? So I'm doing the wrong thing entirely on the create payment, because that said it's create payment, not get payment info. So the docs that this get payment info is the query, and that's where the code samples from. So it's just in the wrong place. Okay, so that's some feedback needed, but let's get this right. Okay, so we've got the correct, and that wouldn't be a payment ID then, but that doesn't change the error that I'm seeing on this other one. Which is still unknown operation request. Query get payments. I mean, it's clearly coming back with something useful. Maybe let's get rid of bearer. Maybe it isn't. Nope, it's not that. It's just, right. I'm just going to move this for a second just to double check that that key is coming through as I expect it to. Wow, and I am so dumb. I'm kind of lost. It seems like this documentation doesn't reflect the implementation, which is a shame. Means I can't really get any further without more input from the Trello team, and probably debugging online with them, which is not as far as I'd hoped to get today. It's a shame. Unless someone could come in and save me now, I think it might be the end of my attempts to get this going. But what I will do is have a crack at this with them over the course of maybe the next week or so, and then come back to it, because I think it would be really nice to see generating a link using this that I can then direct the end user to. So just like in my head, the flow goes something like, I create the link on behalf of the merchant with the right amount, and I can then do all of the transaction recording stuff that I want to be able to do on their behalf, and the end user gets this really neat flow that they can just go through to make a payment. And I said I wasn't going to talk about open banking in too much detail, but the reason why I think that this is important, and I think it's worth talking about this, is open banking is basically a layer on top of traditional banking. And in the UK and Europe, a lot of your traditional consumer banking is basically free. Banks make their money in lots of other ways. And so for a consumer, making payments from one bank account to another is essentially free for most payments, transactions that someone will make between bank accounts. So like if you're transferring money from an account that you own to another account that you own, that's generally free and it's rapid. So it happens same day, usually within minutes. That's very cool. Like that's powerful in terms of consumer control of their own funds. Certainly, I mean, it's not the most advanced thing in the world, and there's a lot of things that are chomping at the bit to try and fight against banks and centralization and all of that. And they're just being pragmatic. The reality is most consumers have been comfortable using banks for a really long time. They're probably going to continue to do that for a while. So this layer on top basically enables the automation of that. So historically, if you were going to make one of these payments, you'd have to call your bank or go into the bank, or with the advent of online banking, log into your online banking. And you've got to punch in a bunch of like security information to confirm that the amount of money that you're sending and the person that you're sending it to, or the bank account that you're sending it to, are correct. And then there's limits on the amounts that you can send and all of that kind of thing too, although they're reasonably high. So that's fine, except it's not great for the end user. There's still a lot of hoops to jump through and things to make it work. So if you could do it where a system could basically log into your online banking for you, I know that's not what's happening, but in simple terms, and make that payment request on your behalf, then actually you unlock this whole kind of tier of payments, because now it's no longer going through card acquirers and merchant accounts and all of this stuff. It's going from my account to the person that I'm paying directly within seconds or minutes. And it's doing it in a way that if I was to do it through online banking, it would be free. So it's basically free because it's just doing like the same technology, it's using the same rails as my online banking is using to make that payment effectively. So it's like this whole layer of payments that is going to change how e-commerce happens and make it darn sight cheaper and safer and faster. And it's just waiting to explode. And these guys at Trello are leading the forefront on that, because I think it's really, really important that there is a developer-friendly provider in the space, and there isn't at the moment. Basically, you can't set up something like a marketplace easily using open banking right now. Certainly not with zero resources to start with. So yeah, there's a lot of hoops to jump through and all of that, and it's super boring stuff, and you just want, like, what I've envisaged is kind of what Stripe have done for card payments, where I don't even have to think about it as the marketplace owner. I just go, I want to have somebody receive funds through Stripe. Use Stripe Connect. Okay, so you push them through a Stripe Connect flow. They've either already got a Stripe account or they create one on the fly. And then by the time they're done, which is usually only 10 minutes or less, they can receive payments via your service. And it's all connected up. And you can skim off the top however much you sort of reasonably have agreed with them to do. And it's super slick to be able to take somebody through that flow, and it doesn't cost you as the developer, the kind of the marketplace owner, anything to do that. That's completely free. So enabling card payment collection and transferring of those funds to a third party, your merchants, is basically free. And then with open banking and the different providers that are out there right now, it costs a ton to do something similar, and it's just ridiculous. Like they clearly do not want to step on the toes of card payment for whatever reasons. I'm not going to insinuate any motives, but you know, it's a big industry. There's a lot of money being made, and I know people don't want that sort of stuff to come to an end. I don't think it will come to an end. I think it's going to be a nice mixed environment, and open banking payments will make a massive difference, and just create another option for people. And so that opens the door, this kind of thing opens the door to a lot of interesting opportunities in this space. That's what I want to explore. That's what Spread is about. And hopefully then in the next week or so, I can get this working and we can try going down this other route. Yeah, that's that. I am going to shut up now. I said I was only going to be about an hour, and it's been an hour and a half, and I need a drink because my throat is dry and I think I'm coming down with a cold, and I spent all my Sunday on the computer, which I now want to stop doing. So I should have switched to this before I went on my little open banking rant, because you didn't need to see my screen the entire time, and that just is me being really bad at OBS. Anyway, thank you if you watched all the way through this. I love you, and you're a wonderful human being. And now I'm gonna go. So thanks for stopping by.